Let you know that it is restreaming. That's really good. Yeah, I use this service called Restream, which is really a miracle. It lets you send out your signal to a million different services out there of all the social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. You could even zoom it to, or you could even restream it to your own website, which I do at SoundBroker.com. But anyway, we're live, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the 107th meeting of the SoundTable's Mastermind RoundTable. And this meeting is in session. So here we go. Just remember, everything that you hear is an opinion, so do your own research. And I want to welcome everybody. So thanks for coming and thanks for listening. Our viewership is way up and I really appreciate it. And if you want to join the meeting and come in and be part of it and be part of the actual discussion, then please just send me a DM or an email from anywhere you can reach me on any of the multimedia platforms, and we will definitely get you in the room. So welcome everybody. How's everybody in the room doing?
Hanging in there.
Good, Kurt. Good to see you.
Very
good to see you. Anyway, this week has been a wild week, a lot going on. So first of all, with Facebook, we've reached over 100 people, which is not really a lot, and compared to, like, if I was Tom Cruise and did a post. Or the other thing is that we reached over 65 people on LinkedIn, but our YouTube subscriptions are up to 331 subscribers. And actually we've had 55 new subscribers for a total of almost 8,000 total views and almost 8,000 minutes of my YouTube channel watched, which is amazing. So thank you all, everybody, for participating in every way, shape, or form. Before we get into the general topics of what we want to talk about, there's something that I want to say, and I want to say rest in peace, Alex John Such, who is the original bass player for Bon Jovi, and until they kicked him out of the band because they felt he couldn't keep up with them anymore. May rest in peace. Also, Ronnie Hawkins died. If you don't know who Ronnie is, he was like the mentor to the band. He was the old Deep South player. And also another person who died was the Gerber baby, Ann Taylor. Ann Turner Cook was her name, and she was on thousands of baby products for Gerber, and she died at the age of 95. So may they all rest in peace. And with that, what's going on with everybody? Anybody have anything they want to say before we get into the subjects I want to talk about?
I'd just like to say that, well,
hey, Wayne,
the last couple of weeks I've had a fairly busy show schedule. I did 3 shows, theatre shows last week with a fellow by the name of Darren Coggan, with some strings and acoustic piano, and they went very well. And the week before I just did a couple of pub jobs, and they were good too. But the last weekend was great. It was a great 3 shows. I'm still recovering, actually. No, I'm not really, but it was very good in the land.
Well, you look like you're recovering. That's good. You look like
I was pretty had it when I got home on Sunday. But we had 3 great shows.
Well, that's cool.
And I used an Alan Heath D Live, actually.
Say that again.
And I used QL. I love the QL as a small board. I think it's a great board. But the D Live was extremely good. C5 3500 one I used. And I've never used the C for 3500 before, but it was very nice.
How long did it take you to be able to get around on it fairly easily?
Well, there was a couple of odd things, only because I've never used it before, but I had used the offline editor quite a lot. So I knew how to get around the board, but when you went to select, to get back to where you were, you had to press it twice. And I'm sure that maybe it was set up that way or not, but that was a bit confusing every now and again, because I'd be on the screen and then I'd press the select button. It wouldn't bring you back to where I was. I'd press it twice and it would. Otherwise, I thought the board was quite nice. Yes, it was very good. And I was on all acoustic shows, so there was 3 strings and acoustic piano.
were you mixing on somebody else's setup, or did you set up the console from start?
No, I used, I have my own file, but I didn't load the file because it was only 19 channels, because I created a monitor split. So I decided to use, and it was the in-house system. I decided to go flat out. I had 2 hours to just, for 19 channels, I just decided to program the board there and get stuck into the EQ of the room. And because it was an acoustic show, I tend to get rid of a lot of bottom end and just add it in individually on the channel when I need it, as long as I've got enough room to do that. Because acoustic instruments, as you know, they will get excited in the low end.
They do. I do mostly corporate shows, and when I EQ my systems, I EQ a little light in the bottom end for live performance. What would consider live performance? I'm pretty light because I'll put it back where I want it, because what I don't want it to do is take off on me, you know.
Yeah, I just find that when I'm doing an acoustic show with pianos, and I split the microphone and the piano, and I lie them on a piece of sponge and have a high and low. But the strings themselves, one had a DPA and a couple of them had Rhodes in the Canberra show, or Queanbeyan show it really was, which is next door to Canberra. They're all one place, but they're on the opposite side of the borders. I just find that if you leave the system in those bigger rooms with lots of low mid as a total, when you try to bring everything, all you end up doing is taking they all just start feeding back unless you can manage each one individually. So I do it the opposite way, which is to get rid of make the system a little bit toppy. And then as long as you've got your 10 to 15, and then I EQ, dB EQ on each of the channels, I just put it in where I need it. The other thing I do, Bruce, is I do song EQ. So one song I might add 10 dB of we're centered at 200 on the vocal or on the guitar, but the next song I might leave it flat. And I do that all the time when I'm doing those acoustics. And Darren Coggan is he does a great performance, whatever show, and his sister's on the piano, and it's a great show. It's a great show. But so I get really proactive in the when I'm doing the small acoustic shows. I like creating the feel of the song. So sometimes I'll pull the whole thing back, or you make it really, make it thinner, everything thinner, because it's meant to be that way. But then the next song I might add, and then I also set up the one of the output sections. So in this case, it was the left and right. Then they went to matrix. I also set up the low end EQ as a shelving, so that if I think the system's I've EQ'd too much of the bottom end out, I can just add it there as well. Like your stereo, like, oh yeah, I'll have 5 dB more of 200 down. So I create that as well. So I've got 2 easy, but I do like the other 2 shows are on the QL in a little 300 seater. And it was great. The little room. I like those little rooms with 300 seats.
Yeah. The QLs are great consoles. They're fun and easy to get around on, and they do pretty well.
And they got all the they got the little notch filters, and the little theater was a little rounded.
So Wayne, how old was the console that you mixed on? It wasn't a new one, was it?
Well, well, it looked pretty new, but it could have been 2 years old. I don't know when the C3500 came out.
Yeah, because right now there's a big challenge, as we were talking in the pre-show, is that it's really hard for all the sound companies and anybody who wants to get a Yamaha QL system. It's almost impossible right now, if not impossible. The factory it says they're closed until next year, although I've heard that some drips and drabs are filtering through, but very, very, very infrequently. But that's going to change. That's going to change because the Shanghai harbor, China is now opening up again. So the Shanghai main port, and it happens to be the world's largest port, they're now working through thousands of backlog containers, chock full of everything, and like from diapers to dishwasher, sound, everything like that. And now the world is going to start getting supplies in big, big numbers because the Chinese government is really pushing to open the ports and open the country wide open. And once that happens, then the flow of goods will really start to take place. And then there'll be a glut of stuff on the market, which will be great again. But the reality is that right now, not the manufacturers, but the department stores, Costco, Amazon, Macy's, all of these big places bought a lot of inventory so they wouldn't run out. And you're going to start to see some sales coming down the pipe so that you can actually get some good discounts. So watch for that as well here in the United States.
Have you seen the satellite pictures of the Shanghai harbor? It looks like a Disney parking lot. There's thousands, literally thousands of container ships sitting out there. It's just and I thought there was a lot in LA, and man, it didn't hold a candle to Shanghai. It was like,
Shanghai is the largest port in the world.
I couldn't believe it.
Just think about this. New York's got about 14 million people during the day, you know. Shanghai's got 26 million people there all the time.
All the time.
All the time, 26, you know, so if you think
God.
So when I grew up in New York, I learned when I was very young that if I thought I was 1 in a million, there were 14 more living right in the vicinity of me. Just think, if you're 1 in a million, there's 26 more of you just right in your next building, you know. So it's like
that's only that one city. I mean, they got a bunch of cities that are not as large but very close, you know.
Oh yeah, no, they've got 1.5 billion people in China, if I'm correct.
Very scary.
You know? So anyway, we were talking, see, and I got two people from California. California, what a wonderful place to be. Right now, California bees can be legally known as fish. And they have the same protections. A court just ruled that evidently the bumblebee, the crotch bumblebee, the Franklin bumblebee, the Suckley cuckoo bumblebee, and the western bumblebee are in danger of extinction. And so they are now living under the protection of the fish law that protects the endangered fish species. And so how, you know, the thing is that bumblebees and bees itself, they are the main source of pollination for all of the plant life that we have. And the bees are dwindling. So if we need agriculture, we need bees. And it's not just honey anymore, you know, just don't get honey from the bees. You get the agriculture products from the bees. So is that affecting any of you guys at all?
How's it going to affect us?
Not that I noticed.
The price of honey, I don't know. Hello, sweetie. Hi. So, hey, if you guys follow football, I posted up on the Friends of the Roundtable the coolest video I've ever seen about how they pick the schedule for the NFL, and it's amazingly complicated, but this woman really walks you through it really well. So if you ever wondered how they come up with the schedule for the NFL, go up to the Friends of the Roundtable, either on Facebook or LinkedIn, and you will see the video, and you will now no longer be curious on how they pick the schedule. But how they get people to do it is amazing because it's pretty complex. Tina, did you get to see it?
Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, what do you think of it?
I mean, it's the same how they do it every year like that. So it's very complex, but it's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it before, so
Yeah.
I thought maybe there was something new, but it's the same.
Yeah, and and in sports, there was a record set, or at least for one person. LeBron James is officially now a billionaire. He's officially a billionaire. Basically, he's worth, according to this, he's worth more than $1.2 billion in pre-tax earning. His NBA salary from 3 different teams during the past 19 years amounted to $383 million, and he's raked in upwards of $900 million in income from endorsement and other business ventures. And that was reported by Forbes magazine. So, don't feel sorry for LeBron James, that's for sure.
Well, he's been with Nike since he was 18 years old, and apparently that's the bulk of his fortune.
No, he's got his own line of clothing as well.
Yeah, but apparently since he's 18, he's making money from Nike, and that was like a lot of money.
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought that's what the article said.
I saw something about Shaq. Shaq was being interviewed about, he had this sneaker line. And I believe it was it Nike, Tina, that he was on Nike?
No, it wasn't Nike. It was
Whatever company he was with.
Yeah.
So, and a mother came up to him at one of the games and said, "How could you endorse something that my child wants? It's going to cost me $500 for a pair of sneakers. That's so unfair of you." And he thought about it, and he started his own sneaker company, and made low price sneakers, the Shaqs, which I thought was amazingly cool. What a great story for this guy. He seems like such a nice guy. It's like, I guess, if you thought about all the people you'd like to have lunch with him, one of the person I would have liked to have lunch the most with would have been Ben Franklin. If I could, go back in time and have lunch with Ben Franklin, that would be like a dream. But I think Shaq is way up there on people I'd like to have lunch with, other than, people that I've had lunch with, like David Dansky. I love having lunch with David Dansky, But, so let me ask you guys, is there who would you like to have lunch with? If you could pick anybody, living or dead, who would you like to have lunch with?
Moses. I want to know what he knew to allow an entire nation of people to leave under slavery, which was the machine of the day. I mean, you give up slaves or workers, nothing gets done. So what did he know to get the Jews out of Egypt? I want to meet him.
He might have been friends with Jimmy Hoffa, the union organizer. It was like he was the first. It was the first human, first labor organizer. There he is. He got the slaves to go on strike and leave. Close down. I mean, Starbucks could learn from him now. Amazon. So, I've always thought that would be the thing that I would, that if people wanted to unionize, why doesn't the company just close up and say, I don't want to deal with it, and reality is that Starbucks just closed the store that was humanized, and now they're suing Starbucks for illegally closing a store. I don't know if you heard about that, but anyway. So, Kurt, who would you like to have lunch with?
Where was that located?
New York, I believe. Kurt, who would you like to have lunch with if you had a choice of having lunch with anybody?
I'm kind of drawing a bit of a blank. Come back to me.
How about me? Wouldn't you like to have lunch with me? I'm a very good eater. I have a million humorous stories. I can tell you about stuff that can curl your hair. Oh, your hair is already curly. All right, I can do that. Wayne, what about you?
I think that's too hard to pick, but I'll have lunch with everyone in the Zoomy room.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway,
Too
so
hard to pick, isn't it? But yes, I'll be quite happy to have lunch with everyone in the Zoomy room.
okay. So I have a question for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to tell you there was a story. CNN reported this. A woman got a free couch on Craigslist in Los Angeles. Did you guys hear about this? And she was cleaning the couch, and it turns out she finds $36,000 in the couch in cash. And she returned it to the person who gave her the free couch. And it turns out that this couch belonged to this woman's dead father, not the woman who not the woman who gave this woman the couch. Her father passed away. She didn't need the furniture, so she gave it away. And it turns out that when the woman gives her back the $36,000, she goes through all the other furniture that she had, and she found a lot more money. And she gave the woman who gave her back the $36,000, she gave her $2,000 in change and a new refrigerator. But what would you have done in this situation if you bought a couch, or you got a couch, somebody gave you a couch, and you found that kind of money in it? What would you do?
It's a good question. Mostly give it back, but I think about it. I think about who it came from.
Exactly.
All right,
I don't
let me
know
ask
that
you
I could
this.
live with myself if I didn't give it back.
All right, you go into a major store. Right? And you're not paying attention to they ring up your items, and you pay the money, you walk outside, and then you go sit in your car. And as you look at your car, you look at the receipt, and you realize that they didn't charge you for something. What do? Do you go back into the store and say, hey, I just bought this and you didn't charge me for this? Or do you just drive on?
You know what? That almost happened to me, only I caught it as I was leaving the store, and I went back in and I says, I hate to get you in trouble, but you didn't charge me for one of these things. And I paid for it because I just,
I've done that.
yeah.
Now you're all better men than me then.
I feel guilty if I accidentally take insulation tape in my pocket home. I want to go and take it back. I'm a bit so I would always give it back.
Do you feel guilty when you get home and you got gaffer tape on the bottom of your shoe?
Not really.
You give that back.
Not that one.
We've all been there, huh?
Well, I'm going to feel guilty every time I drink coffee for the next couple of weeks. So I'll tell you that right now. And by the way, speaking of coffee, a study just found that coffee drinking may be linked to lower risks of death. The study was published on Monday in the Annals of Internal Medicine and is based on data from more than 171,000 people in the United Kingdom who drank coffee regularly over 7 years. The results showed that those who drank unsweetened coffee were 16 to 21% less likely to die than non-coffee drinkers, and those who drank sugar sweetened coffees were 29 to 31% likely. So two things you learn from this. Number one is drink plenty of coffee, and number two, sweeten it up. Sweeten it up, because you'll live longer. You'll live longer. That's what I have to tell you.
So speaking of coffee, has anybody had coffee at home with a French press? My son came home from the Army and brought his French press. And I'll tell you, just the coffee that I had, it made all the difference in the world. And when I was in Hawaii seeing my daughter, I brought home 4 2-pound bags of Hawaiian coffee. And I'll tell you, it is on a French press. It is just absolutely wonderful. It's so different than a drip or a percolator. It's just the best. I'm sold. I'm spoiled.
It's an interesting thing, and it's a very simple process.
It's very simple. Yeah,
It's
very simple.
Very simple. You put the coffee in the pot, you put the water in the pot, and then you put this like screen on top of it that fits
Right.
on top.
You let it sit for 10 minutes. Right. My son says, stir it up. Put
Yeah, I
the
was about
top
to say
on
you
it.
got to stir it first.
Yeah, a little stir with a fork, and then you let it sit for 10 minutes, and then you squish the thing down on it, and you pour yourself a cup of coffee. And I'll tell you, it is just whatever you're drinking in the past, it just changes it. It's just so different. It's so good.
Yeah. By the way, that was the item they forgot to charge us for. That's why I said I'm going to feel guilty.
I sort of caught that when you said it. I wondered, so-and-so, I bet you got a free bag of coffee or something.
No, it was a free French press, but
Oh,
it wasn't, it's here in Thailand, it wasn't as expensive as it would be in the United States. I can guarantee you that, it was like only $4, and I just felt I'm not getting back out of the car to give her $4, it's just, and then they would look at me like I was out of my mind, because this is Thailand. Nobody would do something like that, and they wouldn't even know where to begin, So
I got something I want to ask you. The sphere that's being built by the MGM in Vegas.
mm-hmm.
You know about that?
Yes, of course, everybody knows it. The MGM Sphere.
All right. So there's an article I got out of the Hollywood Reporter. It talks about how they built it's a 500-foot sphere or 330-foot sphere, and they built a 100-foot one in Burbank so that it can write the programs for the big sphere. I mean, it's such a huge deal for them. But here's something that I can't imagine. It says the sphere will house a beam-forming audio system using as many as 164,000 speakers and have 4D capabilities such as wind and a modular stage.
That's right. That's exactly correct. I'm not,
164,000
and I believe that it's been put in by a Harman. I believe it's a Harman system.
So is this like when you go to see Love, where there's like 5 speakers per seat or something like that?
It's my understanding that is correct, but it's a new technology. Whereas everywhere in the building, wherever you go in the building, it's an immersive sound experience.
So it aims right at the seat. as opposed to being near the seat, it aims at the seat.
It's not just at the seat, it's everywhere in the building. My understanding is whenever you're in the building that there's immersive sound.
Okay.
And not only that, they've designed the outside of the building with LED panels, so it looks like you're actually looking through the building. That's going to be the concept. It's going to look like you're just looking right through to the other side.
Yeah, a 580,000 square foot LED display.
It's going to be the largest in the world. It's when they built that, they had to rent a crane that was like outrageously expensive, and it was the world's largest crane that it ships in 5 different pieces to build that. So yeah, it's impressive, and I think it's opening next year. I believe it's opening next year. They're starting to move ahead on that. Tino, I haven't been to Las Vegas since last year. What's it like on the outside when you drive by it?
It's massive.
Yeah,
They just finished putting the top of it on, and it's all you see is just where they're going to place all the lit screens around it, but it's massive.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I have an idea, Tina. When we move on to the next subject, maybe you could mute yourself, call Mike Brown, and see if he could join the room and talk to us about the spear. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it's that's really, really cool. It's I mean, what people can do these days if they put their mind to good, it's off the hook amazing. It's like, for example, scientists right now can reverse the aging in mice. Now, this is an amazing story if you think about it. The goal is to do the same for humans. In a molecular well, there goes my career in news announcing. In molecular biologist David Sinclair's lab at Harvard Medical School, they have been able to reverse the aging in mice, and they believe they could do the same thing for human beings now. Now that is impressive. And we'll throw the link in the site on that so you can read about it. But just imagine, I mean, I saw the pictures of this mouse that there were 2 twin mice, and one was like old as the hills, and the other one looked like it was a puppy mouse, like brand new mouse. And they were both the same exact age. It was mind blowing what they could do with this mice. So if they can expand that for human beings, I mean, just think of what it would do for the life expectancy of us,
Okay, so I haven't heard about that, but I have a question. So how long would you really want to live? We all think we'd like to live forever, but how real is that? I mean, I don't want to live forever. I mean, how long do we really want to live?
Isn't there a song like that? I don't want to live forever.
There might be.
John Bon Jovi, speaking of Bon Jovi earlier.
Yeah.
It's my life.
I don't know. That's something to think about, though. Is 100 years, 150 years, 300 years? Do we want to be around that long? I don't know.
I want to just live out. I want to live out Nostradamus. That's it. That's all I want. Nothing more. Than 900. But no, seriously. As far as I'm concerned, I want to live as long as that I am capable of living the life that I am enjoying without having any physical pain. The challenge as you get older is as you get more susceptible to diseases, you start to have pain. Like I remember back in 2013 when my back went out on me, and the pain was astronomically intense. And it was the first time in my life that I said to myself, I can understand now why people want to commit suicide. Because the pain was great. I couldn't stand up straight. It was a horrendous experience. And the quality of life had shrunk to basically, looking at my feet. And that was about it. And I remember one particular episode where I really struggled. I was going to meet a friend for dinner. And I went to the gas station to fill up for gas, and I couldn't stand up straight, and I was struggling. And while I was struggling to put gas in the tank, I couldn't get from the hose from the gas tank to the hose from the pump to put into the gas tank for it to set. So it reset itself. I had to go back and put my credit card back in it a second time so that I was able to fill up the tank. And while I'm there, some guy came up and asked me for money. And I felt so helpless that I was completely defenseless, and I, at that moment in time, I thought to myself, now I can understand why people want to kill themselves, why they would commit suicide. So to answer your question, I would think that as long as you're healthy and you have your mindset that is capable of cognizable actuality, then yeah, why would I want to die?
Yeah, wouldn't you want Bo to live as long?
Well, I would want her to outlive me for sure. The one thing that I've read over and over again about people who reach 100 years old, that the worst part of their living that long is that they've watched all their friends die.
They're alone. Yeah.
That's it. That's the key to how long you want to live.
And so it must be horrible for people who know people with Alzheimer's to see them not remember them. Just to think that your mother doesn't know who you are anymore. That's got to be a horrible experience. And yet the person with Alzheimer, I don't know, does the person with Alzheimer know that they don't know the person who it is, or is it just the person who knows the person?
Yeah, I don't think they know, because my mom didn't have Alzheimer's, but she had a couple of strokes. In the last 2 years of her life, she degraded a lot before she died. And she knew me, but she knew my brother, but she didn't know any of her grandkids and a lot of her friends. And it didn't, it just didn't, there's that saying, the great thing about Alzheimer's is you meet new friends every day. Well, there's a certain amount of logic to that, because she was always like, oh, I'm sorry, good to meet you. It's like, Mom, you've known her all your life, So it was, I don't think somebody might have a different opinion, but I don't think they realize it, to be honest with you.
I think it's a fog. Your mind's a fog, and you remember what you remember, and you don't remember what you don't.
But do you know that you're sick in that sense?
I have a feeling that if you remember something and you try to recall details, that. Well, what's his name? I can see her face. I can't think of her name.
Well, we have that now.
Right. But not knowing that you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know,
Right. You don't know what you don't know. Right.
That's right. Well, even now you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even right now. And whenever I think of Alzheimer's, I always think of that old joke where the guy gets a call from the doctor and he says, listen, your wife just left the office and I've mixed up my notes and I can't remember whether she has AIDS or Alzheimer's. So if she comes home, don't have sex with her. That's it. So that's the old joke. Anyway, let's see what else is new in the world that I want to talk about. Bottling of the sun. The world has been trying to master this limitless clean energy source. And now for the first time, we are closer to fusion than ever before.
I was going to say nuclear.
Yeah, fusion it emits zero greenhouse gases, and unlike the nuclear fission process today, it produces no life-decaying radioactive waste. So they did an experiment and was able to last for 5-6 seconds, but it was the first time that they were ever able to get it to last for 5 or 6 seconds. And so now they're learning, and I would say in about another 30 years, they just might have it down to a science,
Did it say where they were working on this?
No, well, maybe, yes. Let's see, there's a link. So why don't we go, Tina could look at the link and she could tell us. I just posted it she'll post it to the chat. Cool. And speaking of science, the National Oceanic Administration today, NOAA, announced that, it was actually this week, that carbon dioxide levels at our human species has never been experienced like this before. It's at the highest it's ever been. So, wear a mask, I guess. You know, what can I tell you? See, that's how, you know, also there's a new AIDS drug. There's a new COVID drug that's coming out that's unlike all of the others. I don't have all the details. I just heard about it just before we went live, and I guess it's a completely different technology than what the others are, like the Pfizer and the Moderna and the Johnson and Johnson. And this one is completely inert, and yet it will. The FDA is analyzing it right now to see if they're going to authorize it. I think it's called Novatech. And they're saying that because that this one is so innocuous, that people that who have been afraid to take it will take it because there's no side effects whatsoever.
It's not an mRNA; it's a real vaccine. It's not like the vaccines we've been taking all our lives. It's not mRNA.
Right.
I was reading a big thing about it today. Yeah, which is good. So that's cool.
So, and I guess the one of the big stories coming out of New York right now, and this is going to affect everybody, is that New York passed the world's first electronic right to repair bill. And next year, manufacturers who sell digital electronic projects in New York will have to make parts, tools, information, and software available to consumers and independent repair shops. So Apple just started doing that, but now all manufacturers that sell into New York, and everybody wants to sell into New York, is going to have to make it available so that you could repair your own shit. So that's pretty cool.
It's about time, because it used to be that way, right? It just started to begin to happen in the last, 20 years where, companies don't want you, opening up their little black boxes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's something that I'm really looking forward to finding, and so that I could repair my own stuff. I think that would be so cool. It's like because it becomes really expensive when you bring it in. Like if your phone cracks, your screen cracks. I mean, I don't understand why Apple won't come up with this. Why they're not using a better piece of glass that will keep, or Samsung, or any of the manufacturers for that matter, that you can't make glass shatterproof. I mean, that's just crazy.
Think about how bad your phones were 10 years ago. You look at them and they would crack. Now it takes a lot more to crack them.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I cracked my iPhone, and I didn't even know that I cracked the iPhone because the back cracked. So I had a cover on it, and I didn't realize the back cracked until I had to take off the cover to switch out a SIM chip. And then I realized that the back of my phone had cracked, which was, not cool. So I had to have it repaired. But
aren't they using Gorilla Glass on phones now?
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah, the Apple Glass is, look, it's waterproof now, or it's more than water resistant. You can take it on, I don't take my phone in the water with me, but it's possible that I think it's got an IPv rating of 6 right now, which is basically waterproof down to 10 feet. I mean, look, my Apple Watch, I go swimming with it all the time. Which I guess that's what you should. But did anybody watch WWDC? WWW.
Yeah, I did it on a podcast.
Anything that stood out in your mind that you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, the new phone stuff sounds really interesting. The iOS 16, I think it is.
Yeah, I think that would be cool to have an always on front screen, so that
it's programmable to whatever you want.
Yeah, I think that would be really a good thing.
Yeah, and the email. Well, first of all, text messages, you can call them back and edit them. If you send out a text to somebody and you say, "Whoops, I misspelled this," or I shouldn't have sent it, you can call it back. And you can also have it sent at any time you want, as opposed to immediately. So that's some pretty cool stuff.
I heard they're going to standardize the USB thing also.
I think they have. I think Europe is forcing them to go to USB-C.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, there was a rumor that Apple was going to take away all ports from their phone. And it was just always going to be just wireless charging. But
I'm talking about the Mac laptops too, you know?
yeah. Well, the new laptop looks really good. This M2 chip looks amazingly good. And it's light and it's inexpensive. I can't believe I'm using the word Apple and inexpensive in the same sentence.
Yeah, really.
You know, it's crazy, you know. But it's like you go into a mall or whatever it is, and no matter where it is in the world, all the stores are empty except for the Apple store.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I mean, people are in the Apple store. And anyway, I don't know if they have an Apple store in Vietnam, but did you hear about the new glass bridge that they built? It set the Guinness World Book Records. It is 492 feet above the ground and measures over 2,000 feet in length. And it's all glass. You walk across a bridge over and you're looking down 500 feet. I don't know if I can handle something like that, you know?
You can handle it alone a lot more than you can handle it with 400 people next to you.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, there is a building in Bangkok that has a glass roof that you can walk on. And you look straight down, and I'm sure it's not even, I don't know how I just don't know what the drop is, but it's just frightening to walk on that. And then you see these people, you know, cleaning it, you know, they're just like nothing. It's nothing to them. They're just mopping away, you know, and it's, you know, people will lay down face first and look down the ground like that. I guess if you're into skydiving, I guess that would be a no-brainer for you. But just look down that way, man. It's like, I guess I have, what is it called? Acrophobia? Is that what it is? Is that the correct term for fear of heights?
Yeah. I don't have a fear of heights. I have a fear of falling from heights.
Yes, that would be a good feel. That would be a good safety feature to have.
I mean, if I can look down from heights, I have no problem if I feel secure. It doesn't bother me in the slightest.
Yeah, I could look out the window of an airplane. When I'm on an airplane, it doesn't seem to bother me. But if I'm on a glass ledge looking down, even though I know it's secure, I do have a hard time with it. That's kind of strange.
Well, if there's any chance I can go over the edge, I'm on the edge.
Yeah.
I'm on edge, as they say. But
Yeah.
if I feel totally secure that it's safe, I love it.
Yeah.
I love
Have
it.
you ever flown in a helicopter?
Yeah, once over Sydney, Australia. Wayne.
And so when you fly over with a helicopter, usually what they do is when they lift up, they tilt forward. And so you look like you're going straight down, you know, but it's an amazing experience because you're in a glass bubble. The helicopter's got a glass bubble. So and I wasn't afraid of being in the helicopter, but when I worked for the mayor of Los Angeles, I got into a helicopter, you know, the department I worked for, the general services, they were in charge of the helicopters. And so I would every once in a while hitch a ride on a helicopter. And it was so cool the way they would take off the building. So they would lift the back of the helicopter, lift off the helipad on top of City Hall, and then it would go over the edge. And it was like, whoa, what a rush that was every time, you know? But I felt like because the pilot was with me and I knew he liked his life, I was safe, you know? You know, if we would have that conversation, gee, I don't know if I want to live anymore. Come on, let's go for a helicopter ride. No, thanks. I'll just sit this one out. You know, thanks a lot. You know, so let's see. On a good news thing, Justin Timberlake just sold his entire catalog to Blackstone backed management company for over $100 million. I mean, $100 million for his songs. I think that's pretty impressive. You know, one of my friends, and David, you know him, Terry, wrote the song "Physical."
Olivia Newton-John.
For Olivia Newton-John, it's a great story. It's a great story. Basically, a friend of ours, I'm going to leave his name out of the story. We'll just call him Terry. He was painting houses at the time, making candles, and he and his partner wrote the song "Physical."
Oh, wait a minute. You got to say that he was a musician in a band that had a successful album at one time.
Two successful albums.
And then he was now painting houses because he kind of gave that up. Okay.
Well, what happened is that the gear got stolen in New York City, thanks to a friend of ours, Michael Gladstone, who's no longer with us. And when you hear that story, remember, do your own research. But there's two sides to every story. But I think Michael did have some regrets about that, that he did feel responsible. Anyway, nonetheless, the band broke up. But Terry was talking to me the other day, and his song "Physical," and there's this act called Doja Cat, and they're just sampling just a little bit of his music, "Physical," and he just got a huge payday from that. So I could see $100 million for Justin Timberlake songs must be, that's some good money. Makes me kind of regret I didn't get into songwriting sooner.
Well, I think I read somewhere that "All I Want for Christmas Is You" with Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
That song has made her $30 million.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
One song out of her whole catalog.
Well,
Of course, it's the most played Christmas song that there is, but it doesn't matter. That means every Christmas she gets more money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Well, good. God bless Mariah Carey. So anyway, I don't know if you heard the news in Las Vegas right now, but the Elvis estate was sold to another company, and now they're going after the Elvis marrying chapels in Las Vegas. They want a piece of that action. They're saying, this is what they're saying. They're saying that they want to protect the Elvis image. So now they want them to pay royalties. So to protect the Elvis image. I mean, it just is crazy to me. It just seems so unfair that, that would happen. What do you guys think about that?
It's terrible. First of all, you're frozen. Let's start with that. Your
Okay,
video
thanks.
is frozen.
Thanks for telling me that. I appreciate that.
But, yeah, it sucks. It's a tradition in Vegas.
Yeah, it is. It is a tradition. Yep. Well, you guys have very little opinion today. I guess that's pretty good. I guess that's a good thing. Makes it easier for me to go on with the next story. Let's see what else. Christie is offering a first rare edition for Harry Potter. The initial auction will be for $250,000 for that. That's pretty much cool. Twitter was fined $150 million by the U.S. government in violation of a 2011 privacy settlement with the Federal Trade Commission, so they're paying up. Fidelity announced that the future of housing in a post-pandemic digital first age, the meaning of the home has changed forever, and the pandemic forced us to use our homes in different ways, and they're projecting that the cost of housing will continue to rise and reshape our future. That's really good.
The houses in my neighborhood are selling for ridiculous amounts of money now.
Yeah. And one thing I will say for everybody, just a bit, you can visit the annualcreditreport.com to get a free copy of your credit report every 12 months. So if you're not involved with a service like LifeLock or Identity Guard or McAfee, which I highly recommend. Because if anything happens, your credit is monitored. And right now, there's so much fraud out there. I highly recommend that you get involved in it's like $9.99 a month, but it gives you real peace of mind. But if you want to get your credit report, go to www.annualcreditreport.com. And once a year, you can get your free credit scores. And I thought I would show that up. By the way, so just an interesting thing, you look at your credit score and how it changes, and you don't know why it's changing. You can't figure out why your credit score is what it is. Well, late payments can remain on your Equifax credit report for up to 7 years from the date of the missed payment. Making the minimum payment on a credit card may mean you pay more in interest. It's important to review your credit card and bank statement each month. So it's paid off. So think twice before closing that credit card account. Two things: closing the account could raise your debt to credit ratio, and which may negatively affect your impact of your credit scores. And closing the account may change the mix of your credit accounts. Generally, lenders and creditors like to see a variety of accounts. So if you've had an account for a long time, closing it may reduce the average age of your accounts, which may have a negative impact on your credit scores. In general, lenders and creditors like to see that you've been able to responsibly handling different types of credits for a period of time. And we will throw that into the chat as well. So, I mean, I never knew that before, that closing a credit card, even on your own, would cause your credit rating to go down.
So
I
let
never knew that.
me tell you what I do. First of all, I've known that. And I had one credit card. I had lots of credit cards. Every time when I was young, I could get one, I got one. So I probably have 8 or 9 Visas and MasterCards, a couple American Express cards. I got loads of them. And one of them closed on me because I hadn't used it. So now, around my birthday, every year, I pull out all those credit cards and I use them all just once. I go to McDonald's, I fill up my car, but I run through all my credit cards once a year so I don't lose them. Because having them and not using them, the bank's just going to close you out. So, and like Jan says, it's important to keep your debt to available money ratio as high as possible.
Yeah. Plus, the bank wants to see that you have all this money accessible to borrow, and you don't borrow it. That makes you look exceptionally good.
Right. So, I mean, here they are. I got my cards in front of me that every day I take 1 or 2 of them with me, and I go out and I use them.
Wow. I actually I kept it down to 3 cards. I'd like to go down to 2, but and then of course you got your ATM cards that you could use whatever you want.
Those don't count.
Yeah, here it's a lot different. Here it's very hard to use credit cards. Most companies won't use credit cards, but their banking system is far superior to that of the United States. I mean, I have an app on my phone, and wherever I go, I just scan. I open my app, I scan it. I don't even need a card to get into my bank to take money out of the ATM. It's all scannable from your phone. And that, and in the third world countries, that's more prevalent than anything else. Is that you do that. It's really an efficient way of banking, and their security systems are off the hook really good. I haven't had any problems yet, thank God, knock on wood, that has happened. So it's really cool. Just wanted to also tell you one thing that we're going to throw into the chat. I read this great article about fraud and how to protect yourself. It's on a site called wise.com. Used to be called TransferWise, but now it's called wise.com. And it's really an excellent quick article that tells you, multiple ways on how you can protect yourself from fraud. And so I highly recommend it that you get in there and you look at it. All right. And I also want to say that this year, the Ryman, I wish Ken Porter was in the room, but I know he's really busy on shows. So a lot of people are really busy on shows right now. A lot of people are working. So a lot of the guys that normally would come and join us would love to come, but they are working. So my hat's off to them, and I really appreciate it. But I know they're watching, so I want to thank you for watching as well. So the Ryman is going to turn 130 years this year. It started in 1892 as the Religious Tabernacle, and the Ryman Auditorium now is the host of the Grand Ole Opry, and it's the mecca of all country artists. So that's it. So the last thing I want to talk about before we just open it up for free chatting is that they just reported, CNN just reported the world's most expensive cities for 2022. And once again, Hong Kong has landed at the top of the list. Asia, believe it or not, the most expensive continent, with 5 cities in Asia that are topping the lists. And so here are the lists in order of the top 10. Hong Kong, New York, Geneva, London, Tokyo, Tel Aviv, Zurich, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Seoul. Those are the most expensive places in the world to live. So if you're living there, hey, God bless you, man. God bless you. It just costs you more to go get a sandwich.
And LA wasn't even in there.
Nope, LA has dropped to the 30th.
Wow.
Tel
The
Aviv.
30th most expensive city. Yeah, so CNN reporting, we'll throw the link if you want to see where your city faces, where it ranks. We'll throw that link into the chat for you as well. So anyway.
I got to go, you guys. Take care.
All right, Bruce, good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Bye, Dave. Bye, everybody.
We're gonna be stopping soon, but the last thing I want to talk to before I get into anything else is what's going on right now in regards to there's this congressman. His name is Chris Jacobs out of New York, and he is a Republican, and he came out for gun control, and 10 days later, he announced that he would no longer be running for Congress because it took the Republicans 10 days to get him to give up his seat because they were so against his gun control beliefs. So I just want to, there's a man, there needs to be more people like him out there that are willing to trade their power and position for what's right. And if you've been watching the hearings that are running right now, they're heart-wrenching. They're just heart-wrenching. I don't know if you don't get that out there, Wayne, but it's right now the hearings are running, and today's going to be the January 6th hearings too, I believe, right, David?
Tomorrow.
Well,
maybe today for you, but tomorrow for us.
Okay, yeah, and that's going to be pretty exciting. Fox News is not going to run them,
of course,
which is pretty amazing. It's basically isolating their viewers. But I think it's going to seep into the system. I think that this will get to them because it's going to be on Twitter. It's going to be on all the social media platforms. It's going to be everywhere. And I think the truth will come out eventually, what happens. So anyway.
Well, a lot of it depends on like what they're showing videos of Jared and Ivanka. So it depends on what they say. I mean, they're Trumps. So if they start saying that, he should have done something, or who knows what they said. They testified for hours.
Well, here's an interesting thing, that they just proved that without getting this is not politics, this is just actual news, that the Trump campaign actually was putting false electors in, and they're now being investigated by the Justice Department, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But I just want to say the last thing, I want to give Harry Styles some credit. And Harry Styles is donating $1 million to every town for gun safety, which is really, really nice of Harry to do that. So to donate that kind of money for education and gun control, and really cool. And the last story comes from a local news station in, I believe it's Fort Lauderdale, Channel 10, that a woman was performing oral sex on a driver on the highway, and it caused her to crash into a FedEx truck, officials say. So your packages are going to be delayed if you live in Fort Lauderdale. Just want to let you know. And we'll throw the link if you want to see that story up on the chat. And with that, let's open it up. Anybody have anything they want to say before we say goodbye to the people on social media?
Goodbye, social media.
It sounded like we had crickets there, David, in the room. It was perfect. Crickets. That's about it. Josh, you've been quiet. Anything you want to say?
I've been working way too much, so I'm finally taking a day off.
Congratulations. Good to see you. It's been a long time.
Oh, a very long time.
I hope I didn't disappoint you today with some of my little tidbits of humor that I threw in.
Well, no, I did have actually a halfway decent joke I heard today.
All right, just remember we're on LinkedIn.
This is clean. Because I got it from a friend of mine. So why won't cows join the police force?
Why won't cows join the police force?
They're afraid of the stakeouts.
All right, and with that, I want to thank everybody. And that might be the highlight reel. I have to tell you, that might make the highlight reel. And with that, I want to say goodbye to everybody who's tuned in on social media. And I want to thank you all for all your support. I would like more support. So by the way, if you participate in this, click the like button, share it on your post, let people know that this exists, because this is our 107th. Next week, it's going to be 108th. And I'm really enjoying this. And waking up an hour later is even better. And I want to thank you all. Just remember, everything you heard is an opinion. And so before I say goodbye, is there anybody that wants to say anything to anybody on social media?
Hopefully we can have some more peace in the world.
That's right. That would be great. Peace on earth and goodwill towards man. It sounds like it's Christmas time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages. Remember, you make it happen. Thanks for watching. See us again next week. Same time, same place. And remember, you make it happen. So go out and make it happen. Be productive and have a great time. And we're going to continue chatting for a while. So if you want to join us, remember, just DM me at any of the social media platforms or send me an email to soundbroker@gmail.com, and we'll send you a link how you could join the panel. Until then, till next week, remember,